video should be a big part of how you advertise and promote this, right? This demonstration landing page here, I had to take it off because I need to update it, but there was a video here at the top. You should make a video explaining how to use the tool, right? You don't want people to sort of see you and your business as just AI. You want people to see it as you, right? And that you're the one providing the AI tool.
Because the management and transparency is what's very important. So once you submit a referral, you're going to have your own Home Advantage account, and it's going to tell you where everything sits. So if you have 10 referrals that you've sent into the network, it's going to give you all 10 referrals. It's going to tell you every milestone that that client is sitting in, whether they're touring homes, whether they're in escrow. And you now can manage through the Home Advantage application as far as what your pipeline looks like for the referrals that you've sent. And so it's pretty sophisticated, and it's all click of a button, guys.
All right, folks, see a few of you jumping in here, so I appreciate you being here with us. We're going to wait just another minute or two, obviously give everybody a little chance to jump on here, but I don't want to wait too long because we're going to cover a lot. I'm going to warn you a couple times here. We're going to move pretty quickly, but this is literally, bleeding, cutting edge type stuff. This is something that I have not seen any agent really across the entire country doing yet, probably because it is a little technical. And so I'm going to be showing you today basically a process that I've developed over the past month or two to use AI as a lead magnet. So I'll go over kind of what that means. I'm going to give you an overview of how to do it. It is going to be technical though, right? And I'll also give you some ideas on where you can kind of dig in a little deeper and learn how to do this yourself, or potentially I have a couple kind of openings to work with a few folks to build these forums. So as we're kind of waiting for everybody to get on here, give another minute or so. As always, if you want to jump down to the chat, let me know where you're tuning in from. And then I'm also curious, what have you done with AI so far? If it's nothing, that's okay. I'm happy to hear it. We're always happy to help you learn for the first time. But if you are using ChatGPT, maybe you've written some listing descriptions, social media posts, I'm just sort of curious what, let's say the experience level that we're dealing with here today, right? So I'll take a look in the chat and see what everybody's responding to us, right? But again, if you want to let us know where you're tuning in from, as more people are hopping on here, and then what you've done with AI so far, that's something that would be very helpful for me as we are getting started. So yeah, we will be recording as always. So let's see, we got Denver, Colorado, we got Alabama tuning in. Played a little with ChatGPT, right? Okay, I think a lot of people are kind of in that place, and we are going to be working a little bit with ChatGPT here today. So if you have a little familiarity there, it's probably a good thing. Let's see, we got California, New York. Again, ChatGPT, use it often. Cool. Yeah, if you got any specific use cases, I'd love to hear them. What are you finding it's most useful for? That's something that obviously we can learn from here. So Virginia, only a little. We got New Jersey on here with us. All right, cool. So we got folks from, as is typical, sort of both sides of the country. I'm based here in the St. Louis, Missouri area, so I'm right in the middle between most of you. All right, using it for social media, scripts, emails. All right, great. That's awesome, right? That's what we're really aiming to do to get things started here. So, all right, well, we're going to get rolling because we have a lot to cover, and I want to make sure I'm able to show as much of this to you as possible. So let me first start off by saying, again, another warning. I know a few more of you have joined since I said this originally. There are going to be some technical things that you will see here in the next 40 minutes or so, all right? You might not be able to follow along with all of them. I'm actually developing a course that teaches you how to do all of this and obviously sort of spreads it out over many different classes. If you're interested in that, I can share info on it later. But I really want you just to get an overview because surprisingly, I'm not a technical person either. I mean, I have a little background. I studied engineering for the first part of college. I was one of those folks that switched into the business school after a while. So I've seen some code before. I've got a little exposure to it. But I was able to do this without knowing how to write any code at all. All right. So I did not write any of this code in order to build these tools. Let's start here. I'm going to start typing into the few tools you see here on the screen. And if you saw the promotions we were doing for this, you may or may not have understood what you were going to see here today. So what you're seeing on your screen is what I would call a real estate AI lead magnet. So the idea here is ultimately very, very simple. What we're going to do is we're going to build a basic AI tool that does just one thing. The cool thing about ChatGPT is it does a billion things, right? I mean, it can literally do almost anything you can imagine. You just sit down, you talk to it, and you see what it's capable of, and it's capable of quite a bit. These tools are built on the same technology. So we're using the OpenAI API system, which just basically means that we're able to write a little bit of code and then access all that same kind of technology that you're using when you use ChatGPT, right? So you're going to see the responses you see here are going to probably feel just like you're talking to ChatGPT, and that's the point. So you might say like, okay, well, what's the point here, right? Well, the idea is that when you give someone something specific, it simplifies the process for them, right? So just because they can go to ChatGPT and do this, I will tell you right now, I've talked to a lot of folks, most of them still have not even tried to use ChatGPT. They are not early adopters, right? So you, if you have, are an early adopter. You're one of those people that got out there and started using this right away. Most folks have not, and even those that have, they are still going to be interested in a simplified version. So that's what we're doing here. We're giving them a tool that does just one thing. We're going to give it to them for free. We're going to pay for it on the back end ourselves. It's surprisingly affordable. This is part of why I decided to go down this path and develop these tools. I was shocked at how affordable this ultimately is. And so ultimately, we're going to give this away, and in exchange, we're going to collect their contact information, right? So let's start here. I'm going to show you how these tools work, and then we're going to go through some steps that you could go through yourself to build your own version, right? Now, this is the possibilities here are endless. There's all kinds of different things you could build. Now, what I did to start out is I built these 3 simple tools. The first one is we call it a neighborhood matchmaker. Okay, so basically the idea is that we're going to input some information, and I'll just sort of show you as I go here. So I'm going to put in St. Louis, Missouri. You can list out amenities that you're looking for. So I'd say like, a fun nightlife, good restaurants, let's say, big parks. That's a nice one. And then below that, we have neighborhood type. Now, this one, some cities are going to have, for instance, beachfront property. There's no beachfront property in St. Louis. We do have a couple big rivers here. I don't know that you want to live on those, though, right? And that's certainly not right along them there. So we're going to say, let's go with suburban in this case. And then we also have an option for how far from those amenities are you willing to be, right? Do you want to be right next to them within walking distance? Can you drive a little bit? We'll say a short drive. So the idea here is we put this on our website, right? This lives on a landing page. It lives on a page on your website. It's embeddable code. So you just copy code, you put it on your site, and you're done. Again, you don't have to write any of that. And then what you do is you just tell everybody you can, hey, I've got this really cool tool. It's going to help match make you with the perfect neighborhood for the types of things you're looking for, right? If you're looking for whatever you want, you can just sort of talk to it, and it's going to give you a recommendation on where you might want to live, right? Now, that might be helpful for somebody who's moving across town. It might be helpful for somebody who's moving into town, right? So people that are going across country, not sure quite where to live. I mean, imagine how useful this would be. The point, though, is it's not going to give them everything, right? It's not going to replace you. It's just something fun to get the ball rolling. They're going to use it once or twice, which means your costs are really, really low. And then look what it says at the bottom there, right? So when we put this information in, it recommends the Central West End, Clayton, and Kirkwood. Now, I know I'm from St. Louis. If any of you are too, you recognize those are 3 places that do actually exist in St. Louis. And then it has just a short description of why those neighborhoods, those areas match that particular input, right? Now, here's the important part to notice is look at the bottom here. Look at this line. It says, by the way, I would recommend working with Nick Niehaus. That just happens to be my name, right? From ABC Realty, if you're considering buying a home this year, text them at, the typical 555. This is a demo, so obviously it doesn't have my actual contact information in it. But that's going to pop up in this tool every single time. So the idea behind this is you put this on your website, and then you just promote it wherever you can. You go to your lender partners, you go to, other businesses in town that might find something like this kind of fun to share with their customers, and you hopefully get many, many, many people to come and try it. Now, there's 2 options from there. I'm going to show you one version of it, which is in this case, I actually have a form at the bottom of the page. Now, this is my demo page, so it would say something slightly different if you set it up. But the form down here would say, hey, if you found a neighborhood that you'd like to learn more about, maybe you want to see some listings in that neighborhood, maybe you want to just sort of get a chance to ask some questions about what it's like to live there, fill this form out. We'll have a conversation, right? that's a good lead. That's a qualified lead. That somebody's thinking about potentially moving, maybe not tomorrow, but that's somebody you can follow up with. You're going to have a very good chance of turning into a customer. That's one way you can do this, right? If you do that, you're not going to get a ton of leads, but they're going to be really high quality. The other way to do it is before you ever get them this tool, you just put an opt-in form in front of it, right? So instead of going straight to the Neighborhood AI Matchmaker, I go to a landing page with a form right there in the middle, or you can even use Facebook ads, Google ads as well. And you can just have that form right there. They fill it out and then you send them this link, right? So it depends on if you do a lot of email marketing or not. If you're a big email marketer, I would get their email first and then market to them from there. If you're not an email marketer, if you don't have a database you can work, you just put this on your site and you have that form at the bottom, right? So that's one example. And again, remember, this part at the bottom here is basically always guaranteed to show up. It's part of the code on the back end. I'll show you that here in just a minute. Next, we have another example, which is a home marketing assistant. Now, this one is a little more catered to somebody who's thinking about selling their house. And so we want to come in here and say, what are the big details? What are the things that we want to highlight about the home? Let's say a large yard, and then lots of kids in the neighborhood. I don't know, whatever you want. I mean, that's what's kind of cool here is you can put literally whatever you want into this. Now, if you try to discriminate or doing that kind of stuff, it's usually going to recognize that and say, hey, I can't give you recommendations based on that. But, I was just messing around with this the other day, and I literally put it has a dungeon in the basement inn as one of the features. And it actually gave some creative recommendations on how to make the dungeon less creepy. It was like, some people might like having a dungeon, but most people probably wouldn't. So turn it into a wine cellar, which I thought was kind of hilarious. So again, very simple tool, right? This is the idea. I've talked to a lot of folks and said, hey, have you used ChatGPT? And they're like, I don't know how to use it. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know how to use it? You just talk to it, right? It's just a chatbot, but it's new technology, right? And if you can help someone access new technology, they are very curious about this stuff, right? They want to see how it works. We're seeing people click on these links at much higher rates just because they're curious, right? And it simplifies the process. So here you go, right? You can highlight the family-friendly community, give some ideas on how to do that. Host a neighborhood open house. That's a pretty standard one, right? Feature local landmarks, create this drone video with some suggestions on what to feature. Let's see, run a contest on a local radio, leverage local events. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in here, and it's going to give a range of somewhat more standard type marketing all the way to more creative type marketing, right? So sometimes the things in here you'll see, you're like, wow, I've never even thought about trying that before. But you can imagine for somebody who's thinking about selling their house, this is the sort of thing they come in, they try, they go, wow, those are some interesting ideas, right? They're not real estate agents. They don't have any idea how to market a home. And then guess what? You're the one that provided this tool, right? Again, at the bottom, there's that same sentence, right? I definitely recommend working with Nick Niehaus. If you're thinking about selling your home, here's the contact information to get in touch. Third example here we're going to talk about is a home staging assistant. So let's say we got 5 bedrooms, get kind of crazy here, 3 full baths, a huge kitchen, and 3-car garage, walkout basement. All right. And again, I'm literally just making this stuff up as we go. And I'm going to continue to say St. Louis because, again, that's where I live. Keep things simple, right? So we submit that one. Now, you don't need to have all 3 of these on your website. And again, if you're looking at this going, these are kind of interesting, but I'd love to have this other kind of tool, let me know in the chat right now, right? So if there's something else that you would like to be able to build, I want to hear your ideas, right? That's kind of part of the point of doing this is, I can build all kinds of these tools, right? I can build almost anything we can imagine. If you think there's something better that would be more attractive to your ideal customer, let me know. In fact, I personally think doing something like an event recommender, right? Or a tool that's going to help somebody, prepare for their workouts or something, right? Like that could be better for you because it's going to help you start conversations with the kinds of people that you want to have as customers, right? So in this third example, again here, it talks about, highlighting what you should do in the living room, the kitchen, all the bedrooms. One of the things that it'll sometimes say is like, look, if you got that many bedrooms, you might want to sort of stage them so that one's a home office, right? Because there's so many of them. So it interprets this information pretty darn well, right? So this is pretty high level type AI technology, all right? Okay, so those are the 3 tools, right? So you get an idea of how these work. Next, what I'm going to do, and again, we are moving quickly here today, so this is my additional warning for you. before we move forward. And I do want to check the chat as we're going here. So let me see if I have any questions so far. Yeah, the recording is available usually on YouTube afterwards. And then is this part of the software system for developing? Is part of this software a system for developing an internet lead? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I mean, this is what you're seeing is all I've built. Okay, so this is I custom built this stuff. This is brand new. This is not a marketing platform, right? If you have a CRM, if you have the ability to send more emails as follow-ups, you're going to want to use that, right? This is just a tool. It's just a lead magnet, right? I want you to think of this just as like, okay, let's say I ran an ad and say I have a list of homes that are for sale under $500,000 in this area. If you want to copy, fill this out and I'll send it to you. This is the same kind of idea, right? I have an AI neighborhood matchmaker. If you want to copy, sign up here. I'm going to send it over to you and you can use it. And it's going to tell you where you might want to live in this area. And really, you can use it in any area. Or I would recommend if you do develop one of these, you have it pre sort of built to only talk about your area where you do business, right? You don't need to be recommending people in cities that are halfway across the country. You want to be focused on your local area. Or if you want to get referral leads, right? You want to make some money as a referral agent, you can, right? You can do whatever you want here. That's what's kind of cool about it. So next, what I'm going to do is let's kind of walk through. I'm going to skip ahead a little, and I'm going to show you just how I would market this, right? So here's what I did. I mean, this is pretty high level AI stuff because I think this stuff's really cool. I love working with it. So I built this tool out. We'll come back to how in just a moment. And what I did next is I went over into one of the AI image generators, right? This is called Midjourney. So if you've never used it before, it basically just, it makes images, right? It makes art, makes stuff, whatever you tell it you want, it's going to make. Now, one other thing I did is I actually trained ChatGPT to write these descriptions. So I just came in and said, I want something that's going to work for my neighborhood AI matchmaker. And it created this, it's called a prompt, right? So it created this prompt. I put it into Midjourney, and these are the images that I got, right? Now, this is something I just sort of put together. I didn't put a lot of time into this. I could sit here for an hour or two, and I could probably get it to make something that's just super, super interesting. But the idea is I wanted something that showed neighborhoods and that also had sort of a technology aspect to it, right? It sort of indicated, hey, there's some tech behind what you're going to see here. And so what it did is it generated these 4 images, right? Midjourney is kind of cool because it makes you 4 different versions. And then you can say, you know what? I really like that one. I really like this one. For example, let's say this one down here I really like. I click on this U3. And again, this is not a demo on how to use Midjourney, okay? So if you don't know how to use this and this is confusing, we're not going to have time to go any deeper. I'm just sort of giving you a quick overview. But you click on that, and then at the bottom here, it's going to start generating a higher quality version of that image, right? So that's kind of cool. So what I did, and I'll take a step further. So once you get these images, right, and the idea here is these are just eye-catching. They're just sort of something unique you can put out on social media, put out into Facebook groups, right? Share on your own personal profile. And so they're going to grab attention. Now I could just make a post, throw that image on it, and hopefully they understand what it is. I decided to take it a step further, and I'd recommend doing the same here. Jumping over into Canva. Canva is really cool. They actually just released some new AI features themselves. I didn't use their features for this, but I hypothetically could have. And all I did is I just added this overlay that says, try the new AI Neighborhood Matchmaker, right? You can say whatever you want. That's going to be up to you. But now I have this graphic that I can download and I can post all over the place, right? So I can go onto Facebook. I can put it in my email. I can give this. Here's a really cool thing. I can give this to my referral partners, right? I can say, look, I've got this really cool AI tool. No one else has it. You're going to look really cutting edge by sharing this. Here's the graphics. Here's the landing page. Get out there, promote it. And obviously, that's going to help them get some referrals in return. But remember, it's your tool, your opt-in page. It's going to recommend you and your contact information at the bottom every single time. So it doesn't really matter where it gets shared. Obviously, it's ideal if it's in your sort of target market. But this is the kind of stuff that is really, I mean, honestly, AI makes this incredibly simple. It is remarkable how quickly you can do this. Generating that image took me about 5 minutes. Putting this overlay on it and saying, try the new AI Neighborhood Matchmaker, that took 2 minutes inside of Canva, right? And now I have something that looks, I mean, it's not perfect, and I could do more work on it, I'll admit that. But I have something that looks like a piece of professional art. Now, I do want to address, I mean, there's some controversy there, right? We're not getting into the controversy around AI, the fact that this was trained on someone else's art in order to be able to do this. But if you're going to use these tools, this will obviously give you an advantage, right? There are not a lot of agents that are putting this kind of stuff out there. So we take this image, right? In fact, well, I won't download it right now, just to not want to waste any time. But we take this image and then we get out there and we promote the tool, okay? So let me go back to how you build the tool. That's probably the most important part of this training. And I also want to answer some questions as we go, because I know this stuff can be a little bit overwhelming. So here's what's really, really cool about this, all right? I did not write any of this code, okay? This is ChatGPT. So if you are a user of ChatGPT, if you've ever used it before, you can get to the point where you can create these kinds of tools yourself, all right? Now, here's what I would do. I'm just going to kind of, again, this is an overview. We can't go through every single technical detail in 40 minutes, but I'm going to give you a start here. What I would do is I would create a new chat. And what's really interesting about ChatGPT is that I can tell it how to behave, right? So you can say in here, I want you, let's just say like, I want you to act as my code developer. I'll give you example code. And I'll show you where to get that example code. Man, I can't type when I'm live on screen, right? It's always harder to type things out. I'll give you example code, and you will develop new code based on it. Okay, so let me give you kind of an example of how this works, and I'm going to show you how to do this sort of from scratch, right? So that you can develop whatever kind of tool you want. Here is a website. I'm going to actually go ahead and copy this link over to you. This is another tool I built myself a while back. I'm going to put this link in the chat there, okay? And now that I'm in the chat, I'm going to read the questions that we might have. Let's see, AI to help parents with school selection. Yeah, there you go, right? I mean, that's a great one. I love that idea. So not so much customer facing, but sounds like this could be tweaked to create a more defined listing description generator, like I'm sure many. Yeah, exactly. You can make whatever tool you want, right? So I mean, we have, for instance, in my business, business video school, we have a tool that comes up with ideas for videos, right? So it'll basically say, hey, it already knows you're a real estate agent. That's what's cool about being able to write this code sort of on the back end, is you can tell it how to approach things every single time. And it knows that. So our customers, they come in, they download this tool, or they get access to the tool, and they say, I want a video that's about dogs, right? Or I want a video that's about what to do before you need to sell your house. How do you get it ready? And it's going to recommend 10 different ideas related to that concept. And what's even cooler is if you have no idea what to make your video about, you just hit the submit button without putting anything in, and it'll give you 10 random ideas that a real estate agent can make a video about, right? So so yeah, the point here is you can, what I'd love to see in the future is sort of one of my concepts behind AI is that we want to make really simple tools and just have a lot of them, right? Give people a suite of tools that they can use that only do that one thing. So for instance, you come up with the idea, you put that into the next tool that writes the script, right? Then you put it in another tool that writes the social media post for you, right? And again, I know you can do this stuff with ChatGPT, but a lot of these tools make it a lot more efficient, and most people don't know how to work with ChatGPT yet, right? So there's all kinds of different applications here. So what I just put into the chat as we sort of take our next step here, this is, and I'm going to just sort of put this in here. I say I can't eat garlic. I don't know if this is going to work because I haven't messed with this one in a while. We're just going to take it as a sort of a starting point. But here's what we're going to do, right? So don't even worry about the tool itself. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get the code to work with. So just to be clear, now is the point. You might already be overwhelmed. I understand. We're moving quick today. But this is the point where you're about to see some code, okay? So if the idea of looking at code, this is Python code, just so you know what you're looking at. If that intimidates you, I understand. You're not actually going to have to write any code. You're going to let ChatGPT do that work, okay? So what we're going to do now is you come to this website. This is a website that is meant for testing and developing new AI tools. So this is literally what this site is meant to do. And what's really cool is that as long as one of these is a public tool, and let me make sure I do have this set to public just in case you're going over there and can't access it all of a sudden. So let me just double check. Yeah, this is public, so you should be able to access it. But what's cool here is, and mess around with Huggingface after the webinar. Get on there, see all the other tools that are available. You can use them, right? That's kind of the point. But if it is a public tool, you can also get access to the code, and you can make your own version of these tools, right? It's a very sort of democratized platform. And so what we're going to do here, again, you're going to see some code. Don't freak out, right? We're going to come over here to Files. So the front page, the app is the actual tool that you're using. And what we're going to do is come down to this file, app.py. And most of the tools will have this file. This is a relatively simple tool, but you're going to see others, they're more advanced. They have more pieces in here. Obviously, this one I just sent you the link to, you should be able to access, and you should be able to copy my code. All right. Now, this is the code. Okay. Here's the crazy part. This is pretty much it. There's one other file that sets up a couple initial parameters, so to speak, but this is the actual tool. It's 40 total lines long, and some of those lines are just blank spaces, right? There's actually not that much code, and that's what's really cool about AI is that AI, I mean, this stuff is so advanced, it is so capable that all we're basically doing with the code is we're creating the front framework for it. We're telling the tool how to behave, and we're giving someone some boxes that they can put their inputs into, and then it's doing all the rest of the work. We don't have to write a whole bunch of complicated code. So what we're going to do here is we're going to highlight this, all right? We're going to copy it, the whole thing, right, top to bottom. All you got to do is highlight it and copy it, and we're going to come back to ChatGPT, all right? Now, we've already said, I want you to act as my code developer. I'll give you example code, and you will develop new code based on it. I want you, and I'm going to add another line in here that I found helpful. I want you to use this code exactly and only change the inputs and the prompt. You can change other parts if necessary, but do not delete anything, as this code was developed to avoid specific issues, okay? Now, behind the scenes, I've already done some of this work for you, okay? This code that I'm giving you access to, if you want to try this, there are certain things that it does. And again, I am not a coder, so if you are and you're going, oh my God, this guy's an idiot, fair enough, okay? But there's certain things in that code that were developed the way they were to avoid certain issues that I ran into. And what's real, I mean, this is mind-blowing. I've thought for many years, I never liked trying to code. I studied it a little bit in college and never really got into it. It's just not how my brain works. But I've always thought, hey, if I had a platform I could just sort of interact with, talk to, talk back and forth, or I could drag and drop certain pieces. I got all kinds of ideas for apps I'd love to make, right? I mean, I'm sure some of you feel that way too. This is what this is, right? This is the platform that now allows us to make any tool we can possibly imagine. It's absolutely mind-blowing, okay? So we start with that prompt, and then I'm going to hit shift and return a couple times to move down a little bit. I'm going to paste in the code, right? In fact, I might want to say, this is the template code you'll use. Okay, so I hit enter. There we go. So what should happen here, right? And there's always chances of errors. Hopefully we don't run into any errors as we're going, is that now it's going to say, okay, great. I've got this tool and I'm going to make something new from it, right? Now, I will say right here, there is a part in ChatGPT, if you're not familiar with this yet. If you come down here, you can go to custom instructions. And I've already told, so those custom instructions is basically where you say what you do for a living, who you are, any sort of information that you would want ChatGPT to always remember about you, even when you create a new chat, right? So what's kind of funny here is I wasn't thinking about this when I put it in, but what it did is it said, you know what? I know that you have this little business here that creates these tools, in particular a neighborhood matchmaker. So it just went ahead and wrote code for a neighborhood matchmaker. All right. So it's already edited all of this to reflect that new version. All right. So we're going to make, we're going to tweak it. I'm going to show you how to do that without that happening automatically. But you can see in here, right? So if we look at this code, in fact, let's just try this real quick. I'm going to copy this out. And we'll see if it works right off the bat, right? We're going to come back to this tool, and I'm going to edit the code here, and I'll swap this back in later in case anybody was using this on Huggingface. Now, you can't do this part on my tool. You're going to have to create your own account in Huggingface, and you're going to set up your own space to do this. But I'm going to paste that in, and then I'm going to say commit changes to main, and that's how we save our new tool, right? Now, you can see I'll probably want to rename the space, all that kind of stuff. Again, this is mostly just an overview. But what's happening now, and look at this in particular, you are an AI assistant that provides neighborhood recommendations based on a user's preference, right? This part got rewritten. This part right here, and it's kind of hard to look at because of the way it's outlined. Let me scroll back over. And you can write it in a way that's easier to look at. But this part, right, that's the initial message. You can also think of that as the prompt. So if you were to go into ChatGPT and say, I want you to act as a neighborhood matchmaker, I want you to take some input, and then you're going to recommend to me where I should live. This is the same as ChatGPT. It's the same technology, right? And so that's the initial prompt, and that is in English. And it technically could be in other languages, I believe, too, but it's written in English. It's not code, right? So you can see that you are an AI assistant that provides neighborhood recommendations based on a user's preferences. That is just a sentence. Any one of us could write that sentence, right? The other things that it changed, if you scroll a little bit further down, is you'll probably see that it has different inputs now, right? So you can see the inputs down there, enter your neighborhood preferences, etc. And so let's see what happened, right? So we'll go back to the app. And this is a more basic version of it, which I'm actually kind of glad it did that, because I'm going to show you how to add other inputs. So now you say, okay, I want a neighborhood that's got, some big yards, lots of parks. All right. And then I'm going to click submit, and it might give us an error. We'll see here, right? Because it may not be perfect. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We'll find out what it does. But you can see that it already created a completely different tool. Okay. So now, since we didn't tell it what like sort of city we were focused on, I'm pretty sure it probably just made these up. It is going to hallucinate in some cases. So that's what happened. So let's go back, and we're gonna tell it to make some changes. So it already made this tool, and just to be clear, it did it automatically. What I would have done is said, okay, I want you to develop a neighborhood matchmaker for me. I want you to allow people to input what city they want to live in, what preferences they have, and then how far from those preferences they want to be, right? So that kind of happened automatically, but let's go ahead and explain that back to it. So I want to add more inputs. One should allow the user to say what city they live in. Another should allow them to say how far from the amenities they are willing to be. That input should be a drop-down menu. Okay. Again, whenever time I mess around with this stuff, I'm always mind blown by what it allows me to do, right? So let's see if it gets this right or not, but it's going to go ahead and sort of repeat back to me what it thinks I wanted, and then it's going to write new code, right? And what's cool about the way we set this up in the first place is you can see all the stuff at the top is the same, right? That was stuff, again, that I had kind of had to develop in the past to make sure that we avoided some of the issues that some of these previous tools had run into. And there you go. It's writing out all the code, right? We're going to find out here in a second if it got it all right or not, right? So once it finishes doing this, we'll go ahead and copy it over. While we're waiting, I'm going to check the Q&A, see if I missed anything from earlier. Yes, we are definitely going. There's a recording. There's always a recording, folks. So if you're ever watching something inside of LabCoatAgents, you can know for sure that it will be recorded. These are always automatically recorded. All right, so here we have our new code. We're going to copy that out. We're going to come back over. We're going over to the files again. We're going to that app again, right? App.py. We're editing this, and we're going to just simply replace the existing code with the new version. And you can see it's a little longer now, right? Because we had different inputs we wanted to add, and then we commit those to main. All right, so now while we're waiting for that tool to build, which again only takes like 30 seconds, the stuff is so fast, it's kind of remarkable. I want to just mention one other thing that you're going to need, and that is that you're going to need your own API account with OpenAI, okay? So the way you do that is you literally Google OpenAI API, right? I pulled this up earlier. You're going to click on this first option, and then you're just going to need to create an account, right? So in this case, you go down to sign up, I already have an account, so I'll be able to show you some of it. You create your account. And then if you were to, I'm just going to log in so you can see what this looks like. We're going to come over here to API. And again, I know I'm moving fast. This is not a hands-on demo. We're going to go to our account, manage, view API keys, and we're going to create a new key, right? They're already in here. I have a bunch of them in here already. And then that's going to go into our settings, and it goes under this input, the secret OpenAI API key. We replace it and we put that in, right? So that what that does is it's going to allow you to use the back end of OpenAI, right? So it's the same, again, same technology that ChatGPT is built on top of, right? And what's really crazy here, this is maybe my favorite part. I've given people, like hundreds of people, access to these tools. I've been testing them like crazy. And so far, I've spent $1.84 this month. In the first 6-7 days here, I've spent $1.63 of that total, right? This is a relatively new account I set up about 2 weeks ago. That's nothing, right? I mean, hundreds and hundreds of iterations, hundreds and hundreds of people have used those tools, and it's cost me $1.63 in terms of the technological cost on the back end. This version of Huggingface doesn't cost anything, right? So they give you access to this for free. All right, so we're getting close to the end. We got about 10 minutes left. Obviously, I want to leave some time open for questions. Here's the new version, right? This is it. So we're going to, in this case, what are enter your neighborhood preferences? Let's say big yards again, good schools, fun kids activities. I have no idea, right? Enter the city. And actually, let's try a different one. I'm going to try Chicago. And then the distance from amenities, how far am I willing to be within 10 miles? I want to be somewhere that's not too far away, et cetera, right? That's going to generate the responses. And, there we go, right? So what we were able to do here is, because some of this, I saved you some effort, right? I gave you that initial link. There you go. It's giving you the recommendations. Now, one other thing I'm going to show you here that's kind of cool is if I come back in here into the code, you'll see right here, this is the model that it's using. Now, if you know anything about ChatGPT, you might know that there have been multiple models at this point, right? So they had ChatGPT 3.5, GPT 3.5, and they had GPT 3.5 Turbo. That's what this one is built on. If you set up a new API account and you prepay, I think it's like $5 minimum, right? Again, extremely affordable, remarkably affordable. You can now use GPT-4, which is trained on a lot more information, right? So all I had to do is come in here, edit this, and just swap this over to GPT-4. And I don't know if on the back end I had the right API key in here or not, so it may not work in this particular tool's case. But those other tools I built were built at this point, back to that initial demo I did for you, on GPT-4, right? So it's going to be very accurate. It very rarely says anything that is not true, which is sort of mind-blowing. And it has a lot more information, right? So I actually built a tool recently where I said, look, I want you to tell me where I should invest if I'm going to purchase a home, where I should invest in this particular area. And I want you to get granular all the way down to the subdivision name, right? Not just the neighborhood, but the actual subdivision, right? A few hundred homes, maybe 50 homes in one area with a specific name attached to it. Or give me an intersection where I should look, right? 2 roads, intersection. It actually was able to do that. So that's GPT-4. It's a little bit more advanced. You're going to get a little bit more accurate type information. And so here, we'll do one more time. I'm just going to say big yards, St. Louis, and then, short drive. I might not give us the most accurate information because that's not much to go on. Yeah, so I'm getting the error there, and that's because the API key I had in there is an outdated one. I need to switch it out for one that has GPT-4, right? But as long as you sign up from now moving forward, every new account, if it is prepaid by at least, I think, $5, you should be able to have access to GPT-4 as well. And so you'll be able to build tools like the ones I was showing you here on the front end, okay? Whew, all right, that's a lot to move through, okay? So I'm going to give you 2 options here moving forward if this was interesting to you, okay? Number 1 is we are going to be teaching a class on how to do this inside Business Video School, right? Now, this isn't necessarily video related, but video should be a big part of how you advertise and promote this, right? This demonstration landing page here, I had to take it off because I need to update it, but there was a video here at the top. You should make a video explaining how to use the tool, right? You don't want people to sort of see you and your business as just AI. You want people to see it as you, right? And that you're the one providing the AI tool. You're the one who's cutting edge. You're the agent that is ahead of their time, right? So that's one place you want to have video. You want to have video in the ads, right? You want to run ads on Facebook that have a video, again, that shows people how to use the tool or teases it and gets them interested, all that kind of stuff, right? So this goes a little bit beyond our typical business video school type education. But sometime here in about 3 or so weeks, we are going to start a course, 4 classes over 4 weeks. You're going to have plenty of time to work on your tool, build it out, set up some ads, set up some distribution, and even talk to you a little bit about how to get some emails ready to go that will trigger once those leads come in, right? So we're going to go through the entire process. So if you sat here today and you said, wow, that was a lot to cover, I need a more detailed explanation, but I do want to try to build something like this for my business, I do want you to check out Business Video School. So I'm going to put a link in the chat for you. Actually, let me just show you this real quick. This is the link I'm going to share. Don't tell anybody, but this is going to give you a decent discount on your membership. And it's also going to give you access to a $1,200 value vid funnel kit, which you would be able to keep forever, right? So you're getting your annual membership for $870. It saves you about 3 months of membership, and you get that entire vid funnel kit. I'll leave that link active here for about the next half hour. I'm really not supposed to be giving it out too much outside of our school. But if you do decide, hey, you know what? I want to come into Business Video School. I want to learn to do this stuff myself. I want to be able to build these tools. We will be training you here in a couple weeks on how to do it. So I would get signed up now. So you're in there and, you know, obviously you can take advantage of that deal. If you don't want to take action now, but you want to sign up in a couple weeks, normal memberships are $97 a month. You just don't get the vid funnel kit, right? So if you're curious what comes in there, I'll just put this on the screen for a second so you can see what I'm talking about. This is the bonus that comes with this particular offer. You get access to literally like hundreds of things, you know, 9 video scripts, 31 video templates, yada, yada. Maybe the best part of this is you get 3 complete ebooks that we pre-developed for you. All you have to do is drop your information into them. But this funnel can be tweaked to work with the AI tool, right? So if you are planning to work with us to develop that AI tool, get yourself signed up. We're going to show you how to build it. And then you can use this vid funnel kit to advertise it and drive people into your business, right? Second thing I will mention here before we get wrapped up, I do have a couple minutes for questions before I got to leave, is if you feel that you would like something like this, I am not doing this for many people right now. I have a couple more spots in my schedule. It's a side project, but I am building these tools for small businesses, all right? So again, side project, I'm not going to necessarily be able to work with everybody here, but I just put my phone number in the chat. If you would like to talk to me about having me develop one of these tools for you, I would build the code out. I would tweak it, adjust it for you, put all your contact information in there so it's always recommending you, and even probably could put together some of those marketing graphics for you as well. Just send me a text right now, right? So it's 636-541-7651. That is my personal cell number. So, you know, hopefully don't spam me or anything like that. But if you do want to talk about having me build one of these tools for you, you can hop over and text me right now. We're going to wrap up here in just a minute or so. So I would do that before you forget to do it. Whew, all right. So that was a lot. We moved really quick, and I'm honestly impressed that I got done with 3 minutes to spare before a quarter till, which is when we're usually supposed to wrap these up. So I do have open a couple minutes here to answer any questions that you might have about how to do this, or if you have questions about kind of next steps to take. Now's the time to ask, right? And if you do want to have me build one of these tools for you, text me 636-541-7651 before we hop off, because you will lose access to the chat here in just a second. Yes, it is recorded, folks. Everything on LabCoatAgents is always recorded and will be available, I believe, on the YouTube page here shortly. All right, so if you have any questions about what you saw here today, I'm happy to answer them for you here in the next minute or two. Obviously, this is pretty complicated stuff, but again, this is cutting edge, right? I mean, this is the sort of thing that ignore it at your own peril. That's fine. You can ignore it. It's not going to be the end of the world. Not everybody's going to be using these tools in the future. But if you want to be the agent that is the first in your market to say, hey, I've got these customized AI tools. I've got this neighborhood matchmaker. I've got this tool that's going to help you figure out how to sell your home for a higher dollar amount because it's creative marketing, whatever you want to do. I mean, we can build these, or I can help you build some other tools. And we're also going to be showing you in that class how to develop this stuff from scratch so you can make whatever version you want. Really, what I want to you here is just think about this, right? Think about it. This is the kind of thing that you want in your business, because if you are the first to do it, you are probably going to get a lot more business out of it than if you were the 5th or the 10th or the 20th person to do it, right? So there's a big first mover advantage. There's a lot of people in your communities that are curious about AI that have not had a chance to use it yet. Let's see, is there a code to use for this? If you're talking about to sign up for that offer, that link I gave you already incorporated the discount. It already incorporates so there's no code, right? So if that's what you're asking about, that link takes you directly to the page where you sign up and you get basically 3 months of the school for free. If I'm misunderstanding your question, let me know. Yeah, implemented through the Chime CRM. Absolutely, because all you would do is you have a form, they sign up on your form, then you have an email from Chime that comes out with a link to the tool, which can be embedded anywhere on your website, right? So if you have a tool that lets you build landing pages, if you work with me, I can set the landing page up for you. It's no worries. But as long as you have a way to take somebody's contact information and send them an email, which as far as I know, all CRMs pretty much do that at this point, then yes, you can integrate this with existing CRMs. So again, that's the point, right? The tech on the back end, a little bit obviously confusing, although you don't have to be able to write any code. So it's a lot less confusing than it used to be. But in terms of using it in your marketing, it's literally as simple as I have a guide, I have a list of homes, whatever kind of marketing you've been doing, you're just going to send them a link to this page instead of whatever that guide would have been, right? So that part of it is actually really simple. All right, we're at 12:45 my time. I know we're quarter till here, so we do got to get wrapped up. I do want to thank you all for joining me. I know we moved quickly here. Let me know in the chat, though, before we wrapped up, if you felt like this was useful or beneficial at all, because I do want to know if we should continue to sort of head down this path, right? So if you felt like, you know what, maybe it was a little overwhelming, but this would be cool to see more of this kind of stuff in the future. I absolutely can do more trainings on this here inside of LabCoatAgents. I could do some more pre-recorded videos. It might be a little slower that I could put out into the Facebook group. Obviously we're kind of limited on our time here, but just let me know before we wrap up so I can get a little bit of feedback. So I see, thanks, awesome, cool stuff. Like the ideas that you presented. Cool. All right, cool. I appreciate it. So, and if you do set this up on your own end, send me your tool. I want to see what you create, right? Because it really is very, very open-ended in terms of what you can do for this stuff. And I also will say this, pat yourself on the back for being ahead of your competition in this area. AI is probably going to be the most impactful technology. Obviously, it's artificial intelligence. It was always going to be the most impactful tech once it finally came out. I kind of can't believe it's real already at this point in human history. But good for you for taking it seriously, getting out ahead of that curve, and trying some new things, right? Because that's going to pay off for you, I think, in really, really massive ways in the months and years to come. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate the feedback. Sounds like there is some interest in seeing more of this in the future. So I will come back to do more later on. All right. Thanks, folks. It was good talking to you, and I will see you next time.